stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good morning. Yeah, that seemed like it didn't do it correctly. Okay. Good morning. Having some weird stomach issues lately. Happy Sunday. I hope your day is going well. We're going to be in AA Comes of Age today on page 45 to 46. You know, if you want to kind of get that ready for when we get started. One of those days where, lazy days and Sundays, right? That's what we'll just call it. Morning, Claire. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah. We had a pretty good meeting. Grassroots meeting went pretty well last night. There's a person they had 5 days of sobriety. And they bought some wine on the way home. They brought it up during the meeting. So a bunch of us stayed after the meeting and hung out while they poured it out. It was a fantastic thing to see. You know, I'm really enjoying these meetings because there's parts of AA that don't really exist in Colorado, and I'm trying to bring them back so that people understand that there's more. There's more to all of this. That you know, when we help a young lady pour the wine down the sink so that they can have another day of sobriety, so that they can call their sister back who has 3 years in the program and say, I poured it down the sink. It wasn't, they didn't want to drink. They didn't want to drink. They just didn't know any other way. So all the ladies in the group just surrounded her. And I bet she's sober today. You were at the roundup? Nice. Good for you. Getting out of the house, getting shit done. Good job. Good morning, Ingrid. Yeah. So, Sawyer, let it go. Nobody wants to hear you whining this early in the morning. It's for the cats. Welcome to Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. Yeah, I'm your host. Okay, well, everybody says I am the host. I'm just fucking around. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. I don't know what it's been, but there's been a shift in the universe when it comes to recovery. I can just feel it. I don't know what happened on Podbean, but my stuff is being downloaded so fast. I mean, and not in huge numbers. I mean, but big for me, right? That's all that really matters. See, I don't have to compare myself to other people. I don't need the attention. See, I learned how to live all by my lonesome with Dion, and that has helped me immensely. Let's get to the reading. We're going to start on page 45. The reading leads us to AA Comes of Age, page 46, such as the paradox of AA regeneration. But I always like to go a little bit deeper. I always like to read a little bit more of it, right? All right, I'm going to start at the very bottom of page 44. Oh, my stomach is so unhappy. That is weird, Claire, because I know you're here, but it says that nobody from Facebook or YouTube is here. Okay, that's all right. It's running. I gotta double check it just to make sure. Okay, there we go. Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, good. All right, let's get started. Who could render an account of all the miseries that had once been ours? And who could estimate the release and the joy that these last years has brought to us? Who could possibly tell the vast consequences of what God's work through AA had already set in motion? And who could penetrate the deeper mysteries of our wholesale deliverance from slavery, a bondage to the most hopeless and fatal obsession which for centuries has possessed the minds and bodies of men and women like ourselves? Yeah, you know, it's still kind of a mystery. We have a couple more answers, but not really that many. Did we really need more answers? Well, I mean, we have a solution, we have a way out. You know, um, there's always more to discover. Let's put it that way. All right. I mean, your brain is so complex. The human body, the human soul is so complex, and even just the psychology behind it can keep a person busy for the rest of their life. It may be possible to find explanations of spiritual experience such as ours, but I have often tried to explain my own and have succeeded only in giving the story of it. Yeah, I can't, my spiritual experiences are unexplainable. Bill was a man of few words. And if Bill can't explain it, I doubt I'm going to get anywhere near it. I'm also a man of few words, but I can't seem to explain my higher power. I can't explain, you know. Sometimes I wish I could, you know, but that'd be like having that magic wand that just kind of, you know. I used to think I did. I play God a lot, right? I know the feeling of it gave me the results it has brought, but I realize I will never fully understand its deeper why and how. I don't need to understand. I just need to believe. So, yeah, I really like this book too, Clara. Whenever I have a chance to jump into AA Comes of Age, I use it. There's it's kind of like the big book, but it goes into the explanation of some of the stories, um, conversations people had, things like that. We AAs had tried out radical. We AAs tried out a radical and old time formula, one rather out of fashion nowadays, and it had worked. We admitted we were powerless and that our lives had become unmanageable. And we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. Every one of us could make and fairly, every one of us who could make and fairly maintain this humbling admission and sweeping decision have found relief from our obsession and have begun to grow in the totally and wonderfully different mental, physical, and spiritual existence. You know, I'm going to tell you, there are other programs out there that work, absolutely, but there's something about AA in itself and the quickness in which we get well. Yeah, the quickness. and you know, and here again, I don't know why or how, but I do know that it works. I've noticed that people, if I watch somebody in Celebrate Recovery and I watch somebody in AA, I will watch the person in AA exceed quicker. I don't know what it is. There's no other program that I have found out there that has the turnaround time that we do. Yeah, you know, we've been practicing this for a very long time. Um, let's get back to the book before Dion puts his spin on it, because I don't think I'm not turning on my brain today. So you may not you may not get the existential Dion you usually get. You the thought of Dr. Foster Kennedy crossed my mind. Years ago, this noted physician had asked me if one of AA's early friends of psychiatry would come to New York Academy of Medicine to explain AA to his neurological section. So the brain, right? Since several doctors publicly had endorsed this, some in the Saturday Evening Post article in 1941, I thought there would be no difficulty about this. But every one of these medical friends of ours rejected the unusual opportunity. They didn't want to even take a look at it, which is kind of a bummer because they would have found more out. You know, um, it's 10:23 on 2:23. It's not an accident. It's not an accident, right? So they turned it down, assholes. They turned down Bill and AA. What's wrong with you? I'm just kidding. If they were going to be that close-minded, then fuck them. In substance, this is what they said. In AA, we see an unusual number of social and psychological forces working together on the alcoholic problem. Yet, fully allowing for this new advantage, we still cannot explain the speed of the results. There it is. There, and you're not going to find another program out there like it. There's plenty of spin-offs. They're just not quite the same. AA was divinely inspired. It was not put together by human thought. It was divinely inspired, and that's the difference. It's not, even Smart Recovery has presidents and CEOs. It's run by two people, right? A couple. And I don't even think they're alcoholic. I don't think they are, right? The other ways do work, but the AA way seems the amount of time it takes seems to be lessened by quite a lot. Okay. Because you're not going to be able to get much done until that obsession is removed. You're not going to, if you're so busy thinking about alcohol, you're not going to be able to grow. You're not going to be able to become a different, more affluent person. It won't work. I wish it did, but it doesn't. AA does in weeks or months what should take years. If you go, because CBT will work on alcoholism. If you go do just CBT, it's going to take a few years. But when we have CBT combined with God and fellowship, now we're on a different plane. Okay. Sometimes you'll go to a meeting, and just because other people are there, you feel better. Isn't that amazing? And I'll tell you what it is. We're all connected. We're all connected on a spiritual line. All right. So if I go into a meeting and I'm exuding love because my cup floweth over, because my cup spilleth over, then that gets transferred to other people. Yes, it does. Absolutely. It's how I do a lot of things. Not only does drinking stop abruptly, but great changes in the alcoholic's motivations follow in a few weeks or months. Yeah, you could be chairing in a month. You're already helping other people by just walking into the room. We've never had a life like that. We've never there's not many places that the alcoholic is given an opportunity to do that, that they are trusted to do that just because of who they are. Just because you are who you are. Right? It's quite often I say alcoholics are extraordinary people. We are. I've met thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of alcoholics. Never a single one of them are extraordinary. Yeah. The choice is which extraordinary way do you want to go? There's a couple of choices. You can either burn down your community or you can build it. It's up to you. It's up to you. There's something at work at AA which we do not understand. We call this the X factor. You call it God. You can't explain God, and neither can we, especially at New York Academy of Medicine. So that's why they turned it down. They turned it down because they didn't want, just like Bill was saying, he couldn't explain his God. He couldn't explain his spiritual experience. Well, the New York Academy of Medicine can't either. They're not even going to try. They're not even going to try. But they understood something. They understood something. So what was it? This why they turned it down? Because it was a waste of their time. Waste of their time, and it is. What answer are they going to come up with? It's like all of us believing that Jesus was a white man. He wasn't. How many white men you met from Nazareth? I'm just having fun, folks. I'm just having fun. Okay. See, we have to have this perception of, or we have to see, we have to, in order for it to, yeah, there weren't any cameras, there weren't any photo, there weren't any snapshots of Jesus walk around doing shit, you know. No, you don't see hieroglyphs of people's breakfast. All right, all right. Such is the paradox of the paradox of AA regeneration, strength, and arising out of complete defeat and weakness. It's the most beautiful thing in the world, man. It is the most beautiful thing in the world. I have a tumultuous past, and I get to use it to save other people's lives. How many people in this world get to do that, are allowed to do that? Okay. 1 in every 16 is the answer. If you listen to yesterday's stuff, 1 in 16 people are alcoholics. So that's why I say that. 1 in every 16 people get that chance. Yeah. Non-alcoholics don't get the chance to do that. They didn't tear their lives apart with alcohol. Right? And do we just help alcoholics? No, it's quite often that we can help people with our basic program of people that are non-alcoholic. Yeah, quite often. Al-Anon, Alateen, ACA, CA, NA, OA, AAA, just add on, right? I'm going to read this. I'm going to start that over again because I didn't finish this sentence and it makes it even more powerful. Such is the paradox of the AA regeneration, strength arising out of complete defeat and weakness, the loss of one's old life as a condition for finding a new one. But we AA do not have to understand this paradox. We only have to be grateful for it. Like I said earlier, we just have to be okay with it. We just have to accept it and be grateful. Okay. Last night when that young lady was pouring out that wine, that was the loss of one's old self and it was the condition that needed to be met for her to find a new one. Right? And we celebrated it too. We whooped it up, man. We whooped it up for her because she didn't even know how to pour it out. She said, "When I do this, I'm afraid. I'm afraid that I'm going to smell it and I'm going to want it. These are legitimate fears." And somebody came up with a suggestion so that she could smell it. We're good at this stuff, man. Right? Now, if we go back a little bit, okay, if we had not made the decision to start that meeting on a Saturday night at 5 o'clock, it wouldn't have been there for her. That's the joy of it. I got texts last night from people saying, that was the best fucking AA meeting I've ever been to. I'm like, oh, not me. Like, I'm like, now you get to see. Now you get to see. Yeah. See, that they got to be a part of that, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Okay. So what happened? Well, the group had a spiritual experience. That's what happened. The whole group at once. Do you have do you know how much power that carries? A lot. A lot. All right. I mean, it really kind of goes off topic, but I'm gonna go ahead and read it. We'll eat up a little bit of time, read the next couple paragraphs. The one thing I don't want is to feel like we rushed this and we gotta get out of here. You know, heck, if there's even one person, if I'm running a meeting and we have hit our hour, but one person hasn't had a chance to speak, we're staying. We're staying. If the bar said, okay, we usually close at 2, but tonight we're going to close at 2:30, would you have stayed? You would have. So I'll hear it. My mother was there on the auditorium stage. She who had brought me into life 59 years before and who had waited a long anxious time for happy fulfillment to my failure-ridden years. Beside her was my wife Lois, the one who had held steadfast when hope had gone, who had attended my second birth, and who in full partnership had shared with me the pains and joys of our exciting life for the past 20 years. And there sat my sponsor, Ebby, who at first brought the word that lifted me out of the alcoholic pit. With the whole convention, I rejoiced that he could be with us. Yeah, because Ebby wasn't in AA. Ebby was in the Oxford group. Okay? He was being sponsored by somebody in an entirely different group, but they cooperated. There was no division. There was no division between the Oxford groups and AA. There never has been. In fact, the Oxford group very much supported Alcoholics Anonymous. Yeah. Oxford group is still around today and should be supported as such. Okay? Who is Oxford for? Christians. But it's a very Christian-based program, and they follow the Bible. They do not follow the Big Book, but we got 6 of our tenants from them. So anyway, and I thought of the many non-alcoholic friends of the very early days. Without them, there could have been no AA at all. They had set us on wonderful examples of unselfish devotion. They were the prototypes of thousands of men and women who of goodwill who have since helped make our society what it is. Right? There again, AA was divinely inspired, man. And when we say divinely inspired, we mean it was something bigger that created it. There was a lot of little things. If you go back into the history of AA, if there were certain things that weren't done, like Ebby showing up at Bill's house, like Bill making a decision to go help Dr. Bob and go to the church directory instead of the bar. If Lois's brother didn't get involved, a lot of things. And there's only one way it could have happened. God. There's no other way. That's why it's hard for me to jump on a lot of programs. Because if it's not divinely inspired, I don't know. I won't get too judgy on that. So, all right. What glorious mystery. We're going to go back to Daily Reflection book here. What glorious mystery paradoxes are. You want to know why we alcoholics have so many paradoxes? Because we have the cart before the horse. We have it backwards. So everything's kind of a paradox for us. But it gets exciting because then we get to start seeing it and applying it and doing things and becoming a useful member of society again, man. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Okay. They do not compute. Yet, when recognized and accepted, they reaffirm something in the universe beyond human logic. When I face fear, I am given courage. When I support a brother or sister, my capacity to love is increased. When I accept pain as part of the growing experience of life, I realize a greater happiness. When I look at my dark side, I am brought into new light. When I accept my vulnerabilities and surrender to a higher power, I am graced with unforeseen strength. I stumbled through the doors of AA in disgrace, expecting nothing from life, and I have been given hope and dignity. Ooh, dignity. It's nice to have some dignity in our lives again, huh? Miraculously, the only way to keep the gifts of the program is to pass them on. You can't be so selfish that you keep the gifts that you got for free. You got to give them away. The only way that you can keep them is by giving them away, which is another paradox in the program because we have the cart before the horse, right? All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I'm sure I'll be back a little bit later after the noon. I'll probably do one more today. We'll see. Try to stay away from my computer. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out and have a day.